Okay, preparing for live stream. Okay, preparing for live stream. Boom, got it. Working, yay. Okay, so now I'm going to share my screen. I'm not going to record it today since we're doing a live screen. First. Sweet. Now we're ready to rock and roll. Okay. I'd like to welcome everyone to Spiritual Sunday. And today we are completing the month-long session on magic. And we are going to talk about candle magic today. Magic being manifested through the use of candles. And I have bought some props that are here. My desk is just full with stuff for us to go over. And let's jump in. Let's have some fun. So as we're going through, if you have any questions, any comments, feel free to put it in the chat. And when we get to the back end portion of what we're going to discuss today, I will take a look at that chat and see what is up. So the normal format of what we do on Spiritual Sundays is we have 40 minutes of information coming out, and as well as 40 minutes to actually practicing or putting in place whatever it is that we're talking about. And then we open up and have an open discussion around certain things. So let's see how this goes and how much time it takes for me, because this is a little different in that we are going to be doing demonstrations. And if you have candles yourself, feel free to prepare to use them. And by the way, if you could do me a favor, let me know in the chat. Just type in, you have candles with you now, you don't have candles. Just put that in the chat, because I'm going to try to customize this to everyone in the meeting. Like if you have candles, then we'll slow down and make sure that you know how to use them and what to do. And if you don't, then I have to be more visual and do it on my end. So if you have candles, type in the chat to me now. And if you don't, type that into the chat now. Hi, Michelle, welcome. We're just hopping in. Okay. Let's hop into the discussion around candle magic. So when you look at magic, just remember that magic is nothing more than a manifestation of your will, period, point blank. And previous meetings, we talked about sigil magic. And this time around, we're talking about candle magic. These are just tools that you use in order to manifest into the physical reality what you want to happen. Just think of it simple. Now, I know if you guys are here, then you probably are open-minded to magic. I grew up Christian, and the kind of like unwritten rule was that magic was a no-no, that was bad. Well, we're not going over any black magic. I am a black man, but we're not going over black magic. We are only sticking to the purest on magic as we go through our discussions today. And again, it's just nothing but manifestation. And magic, miracles, it's all connotations of the word, right? Angels, aliens, they're not from here. It's all about the connotations of the word. So as we look at magic today, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through and give you the background on how to prepare. No problem, Flippy. If you don't have candles, it's cool. And since we're doing this on YouTube too as well, you can always go back and revisit, and you can walk through any of the steps and exercises that we're doing. Yay, Saul has a candle though. That's what's up. Okay, and Kit, it's like I have candles. Sweet. I have some. I bought some off of Amazon. I mean, you can buy anything on Amazon. So get these candles. I don't know if you guys can see it right there. Colors. Then also have nice little setup right here. You can see little tree of life candle stand that's up there too as well. So I'm going to be showing you guys that as we go through. I'll also have some incense. If you have incense, that will help. Any incense will do. Today I got a whole bunch of incense. Sandals, frankincense and myrrh. I always wonder what it smells like. Like, you read it in the Bible. Doesn't smell too bad. And myrrh. I forgot some of that too. And when I was in Turkey, I bought this lantern. I tried rubbing it, but no damn genie came out. Nothing. Like nothing. I don't know if somebody robbed my genie before I bought it or what have you, but I use this to be my incense holder. And olive oil. Got some olive oil too. I'm going to talk about how to use that. So these are all of the something to extinguish the candle out. A little fancy, so you ain't going. So you want to put the candle out with your finger, hit that with a black thumb or something like that. Okay, cool. So those are all of my toys that I have around me for us today. So let's jump in and talk about the preparation for candle magic and even a deeper dive on what is it. So I like to say that when it comes to magic in general, that magic is a practice, okay? Witchcraft is, we're not getting into the Wicca or all of that stuff. That's not my thing. Just like Christianity is a religion, praying is a practice. Anybody can pray. Well, anybody can do magic too as well. And it all goes down to your intent and what's in your heart. So if your heart is pure, boom, there you go. But I'm going to go over some other areas. And especially since we're doing YouTube, you never know who pops on YouTube. I'm going to show you how people can use magic in a bad way too as well. But not enough where anybody bad can learn from me. But just so you know enough to be able to protect yourself too. Everything's energy. And whether someone's throwing positive energy at you or negative, it can have an impact on you, especially if you don't have a strong shield around you. So when it comes to candle, there's two different ways that you can go about doing candle magic. And to make sure that I am very clear, when I talk about candle magic, I'm talking about manifesting the things that you want. How do you impact reality? And when it comes to candle magic, you have individual, then you have what I call like a cookbook. So individual means that you have your candles that you use, you have your own words that you say, and it's coming from your heart. I personally believe that that's always the powerful magic, is when you're coming from your own emotions, your own intentions, you're using your own words. But if you're not a fantastic wordsmith, if you're like, then it's okay for you to use like a cookbook type deal. So like one of the things that I use to set up like a cookbook is this particular book, which just goes through and specifically tells you put your candles, what words to say, what day you need to do it, what time of day, if it matters, what to wear or not wear. That's a cookbook that walks you through. So for the purposes of today, I'm going to go more into the cookbook route, but as in anything spiritual, go with your heart. Whatever your spirit, whatever your heart, whatever your intuition, whatever your higher self tells you to do it. Do it. Always listen to you before you listen to anybody else. And some of you may already have a gift and talent around candle magic. That's why I like going through the different magic things we're doing this month, because it could be from a previous life. Well, I have never, ever learned about candle magic at all, but you may have learned about it in a previous life. And as I'm going through, you may say, oh my goodness, well, I think this way would be better. Then do that way. Because again, that's your higher self, your intuition telling you that. Just like when we did palm readings and we were able to look in the past. Oops, actually, I don't think we did that yet. Something's coming up. We did palm readings, but I have been studying to dive in deeper to past life readings based on looking at your palms. And some of the palms that I read in the past week, I've seen a lot of talents that people didn't know that they had, that was just sitting there like dormant within themselves. And this may be a particular area that lay within you, and whoosh, you get lit up today, pun intended. So you have individual or cookbook. I'm going to go through cookbook. I'm going to show you some candle magic spells that you can use, lack of a better word, and just hoping that will get intentions that some of the words that I'm using, that you take the positive form of the word and that the negative that Hollywood and the culture has thrown out there. Like Jesus did a spell. We talked about it last week with the sigils when he drew on the ground in the dirt and he said, ye who have not sinned, cast the first stone. And he drew a sigil on the ground so that everybody could look at that ground and see their own sin and what they did. And they walked away and they didn't stone that lady. And so that was magic. Okay. So here, the magic that we're going to use is candles. And the different bullet points that you see on the screen right now, I'm going to go through these 9 different areas. I think there's 9. We're going to go through these 9 different areas and talk to you about how to set the scene, how to prep for doing candle magic, and then let's see if we can do some ourselves now too as well. If you don't have a particular color candle, it is okay. It's all about intent, okay? It's all about what you see and what you feel. It doesn't have to be a color. The sun doesn't have to be at the exact same angle as you want to. That's the beautiful part about spirituality. So I'm going through and telling you the best practices, but that does not mean it's the only practice. And again, if you have any questions, feel free to throw it in the chat, okay? And Philip, I'm glad you found the YouTube link as Willbeing, Willbeing. I'll put it in the chat too before our meeting's over. So let's take a look at the first one when it comes to the room. All right. The room that you candle ceremonies in, because it's kind of funny because I was talking to my wife and I was like, look, I'm going through and I'm doing candle magic today. And it's a little bit more instruction oriented, like do this way, this here. And I hope it's not boring. And she was like, it doesn't sound boring, like candle magic. And I was like, yeah. And then she started candles in the bathtub, candles. I was like, yeah, it's not that type. Not that type of magic. That's romance. That's that magic. Well, I guess it could, depending on the romance, it could be magical for some people. But the place that you do candle magic in should be in the area that is undisturbed, okay? That means that you're not worried about somebody coming in later on, moving your candles. We have a cleaning crew that comes through, and I have crystal grids set up, and I always get worried that they're gonna come in and move my crystals around. So make sure that wherever you put your candles, whichever room, that it's in a place where you don't have to worry about anyone moving it around. And most of the ceremonies don't last that long. Like as soon as you finish going through it, you're putting out the candle and you're just moving forward with life. But you don't want to be disturbed while you're doing your ceremony, right? You want to be focused, you want to be planted, you want to be right as you go through it. The other thing is make sure that you have a quiet environment, and that could be in your basement or your. And I just know people that I have met throughout life that really specialize in doing candle magic a lot. And it's interesting as I was researching this more, that they said the basement or the attic is the place to be. And the friends of mine that I had, their stuff was in their basement. And movies that you see on TV too, talking Hollywood stuff, right? Normally they have like candles and they're doing ceremonies in their attic. And the reality behind that is that's because you want a place that's not a lot of traffic that's coming through and all the attention that's in right here. It's like meditating, right? You wouldn't have a whole bunch of stuff going on when you're meditating. It's the exact same thing. All it is manifestation and having your will focus in one direction. So that's the room. You can pick whatever room you want, but just try to make sure that's a place where you're isolated without interruptions. Now, the next thing is the altar, okay? The altar. Now, by altar, what I mean is the thing that you're going to put your candles on, okay? Now, this is the one that I got off Amazon, just a little. My son came home from college. I had him help me put this together, and this is what I did. Now, they have different designs and stuff. This one kind of spoke to me. It was less kind of like Wicca witch stuff. Anybody into Wicca, I ain't mad at you. It's just not like my thing. So I just wanted something that was just spiritual based. So I chose this Tree of Life, and it had some words, just be blessed on it, right? Okay. And I liked it because it had the different phases of the moon. But when I say altar, I mean this. Don't mean like you're praying to a god like Amani. None of that. It's just altar meaning this is the focus of our manifestation. Now, this, right, could be a table, it could be a chest, it could be a box, it could even be on the floor if you wanted to be. But it's a dedicated area and space. And just make sure that you don't set nothing on fire, running around like Michael Jackson in the old school Pepsi commercial. Be safe. Okay? That's why I like this. And if you like your candle, make sure you don't have it by curtains. You seem like you wouldn't have to. Right? Like we're all smart people. But just in case, maybe you have a slow day, there's Mercury retrograde, maybe your mind's a little cluttered. Just make sure that if you do like something, that you're lighting it in a place that won't catch on fire. That's the most important part about candle magic. Don't die. All right. Now, another thing you can do, and again, this is not mandatory, but these are just things that you can do, and I'm putting it out there in case your higher self, something calls out and says, aha, that was our jam. That's what we used to do, okay? You may want to take a white cloth, and you can put a white cloth over whatever you're using as your altar to add more reverence to it, okay? And then candle holders, important, because you don't want this sucker in your hand, because then it just come down on you and burn, and you just don't want to lay it down there, because then it sets everything else on fire. The candle holders you use should be small. So this is the one I got. Again, I got it off of Amazon. And just, a little hole in there, and you just take the candle and just sit right there, okay? So I got a bunch of those candle holders. All right, so that's the altar that you have set up. But it could very well be on a table. Just make sure it's safe and that you have it dedicated just for that. With enough room too as well. Like I would say under 2 feet, like you see the size of this one. I mean, I don't have like a huge head. I don't have a big head. You got a big brain, but not a big head, right? So this shows you like the size of it. All right, cool with that. And any questions you guys have, just feel free to throw in the chat too as well. Now, let's go on to the next one. Incense. Now, The thing that I thought was very interesting was that when it comes to candle magic, incense is mandatory. Mandatory. Okay. Now, the incense are used in the burning during the actual ritual that you're doing. So you light it up ahead of time. And I'm going to take a fresh one. And I'm going to use, there's like a store in Northern Virginia over by, I think it's Tyson's Corner that I went to. See the Tyson's Corner, but I can't remember where I bought all these cool incense. Fragrance. So I'm going to use this one, and I'm going to light it. I remember when I was growing up in the 70s, incense was real big. My dad had incense. I think it's because they were smoking marijuana. They were trying to get rid of the smell. I don't know why I'm whispering. That sucker's legal now, depending on your state. Okay, so you got the incense lit. I'm putting it in my fake genie lamp. Still a little salty about that. I don't know. I think I only paid $5. You probably had to pay $20 to get a genie. I don't know. This is my first time in Turkey. Okay. So you want to have the incense lit. It's supposed to help you with your concentration, right? The smoke coming off and getting you into the mood, getting you into the zone. Also, from an energetic standpoint, raising the vibrations in the room. And I think I spelled transport. I just noticed it looks like transports. I meant to put transport. I typed too fast. Anyway, the incense with the smoke that's coming off supposedly uses the smoke in order to take your intentions, your intangible thoughts, and send it to the spirit world, serving as like a vehicle to get there. Okay. And when it comes to incense, I have a few. I had a whole bunch downstairs too. I just brought up 3 of the boxes. Whichever one moves you. Yeah. Whichever one moves you. Now, some of the spells that I have in my book, and also that we're going to go over today, may call for a specific kind of incense, then you can use that. Like they even have incense that have been anointed and have specific aromas that are based on money and getting money. I'm definitely going over that spell today, by the way. So whichever one calls out to you, you can use, but just understand that any incense is better than no incense when it comes to that. And you light the incense up before you start setting going through your ritual with the altar and lighting of your candles. Now, let's talk about, where'd I go? Now let's talk about you, the practitioner. Some people have asked, do you need to fast or diet before you're doing your candle meditation? And the answer is eat. Do not be hungry when you're lighting these candles. But you suckers may look like finger food, you may start eating it. Eat. It is not necessary to fast or diet. Be comfortable, be relaxed, be fed. The one thing that I would say about you is that ideally you should have like a light bath. Like it's not required that you have a soap and that you're really washing up unless you're stinky. If you're funky, then yeah, go ahead and wash, because that means you need less incense. Cover up your odor, peppy like you. But when we talk about a bath, we're really talking about more like a baptism. So splash of water, just symbolic rinsing away of any weight, any bad thoughts, any bad karma, whatever. Just a light bath coming through. And that's about it. Other than that, you can eat, you're cool, and everything. Okay, let's look at the next area that I wanted to tell you guys about too, is around the candles themselves. Hold on, let me back up for 1 second just to make sure I didn't skip or miss anything. Nope, we're good to go. Okay. the candles themselves, the candles that you use. All right, I'm going to put up a few things here for you. Number one, vegetable oil, paraffin candles, those are the ideals to use, which is basically anything other than animal oil candles. Do not use animal oil candles. And it's kind of rare that it's out there anyway, but I just wanted to tell you stay away from that. Just regular old wax candles would be cool. Now, dressing the candle is very important. And it's something that a lot of people do not know when it comes to candle magic or lighting candles or in a ceremony at all. But it's pretty interesting. So again, I grew up Christian Pentecostal, and we had anointing oil, which is pretty much vegetable olive oil that the minister prayed on. Please, Lord, baby Jesus, bless this oil. And then they use it and they anoint your hand. I thought it was kind of interesting that the exact same concept is used when it comes to candles. So dressing the candle is much like how it is when you're working with crystals. Okay. So when you first get a crystal, they don't call it dressing a crystal, but here you want to bless your crystal, clear out all the energy that was there before, and you want to set the intention for your crystal to do what you are wanting it to do. Well, the same thing applies when it comes to the candle. Dressing the candle, anointing it, means that you are going to use oil. And olive, it's fine, right? There are some products out there that you can buy that says, this is the special candle magic oil. Okay, you can buy that if you want to. But regular olive oil works too as well. And what you want to do with that, and I have this diagram for you right here, is you want to take your oil, right? You got it right here. So you have a candle, right? Put it on your finger. By the way, I went out and I got this oil. So my wife wouldn't be mad at me when she's like, where's all my oil? It's like, okay, I got my own oil. Then what you want to do is you want to start from the center, okay? With the candle, and you roll it around. And then what you want to do is you want to rub down, okay? And then you want to rub up, okay? Lightly putting the oil in there. It's not like you're baptizing the candle in the oil. And you want to have your mind clear. And ideally, as you are going through and doing this with the candles, I guess I'm doing it with the other ones that I have too. Ideally, you want to have the reason, the intent. Remember, I'm at the center, circle it once, and then I come down, rub it. Whatever your intention is for your candle ritual, you want to have that in mind. And it's just as simple as that in terms of dressing your candle, just prep it. So if you thought you were just going to break it out of the box and then just light it, now you got to do a little prep before that. Okay. All right. Now, the other thing I wanted to do is I wanted to show you how the candles can be set up. So this is an example of one of the spells for doing the candle magic based on, having a table like this, or it's on your floor, or you have a desk, whatever your space and area, think of it like a rectangle, okay? And you should have front. So for this one, this is my front, this is my back. And there are different places where you can have your candle set up, as well as you can have other things on there too. And we're going to go through what some of those other things are. So when you see the pictures that I have on here that comes up, where it says altar 1, altar 2, astro 1, astro 2. These are different purposes. Candle. Say that again slowly. These are different purposes for the candle. And this is like a book. Like you may have the Gram or the Bhagavad Gita, or you may have a finance book if you're doing something around manifesting money. Okay. Or you may have like a candle ritual book. And it's there. And these are the different colors. So this is just one example. I'm going to go through and show you some others. Okay. Now, for this particular one, this is for power. Like if you wanted to have power and what you would do. And I'm going to go over 4 different types of candles, like the altar candle, what it's for and what it does. So an altar candle, right, where you see altar 1 and altar 2, you normally have 2 altar candles that you would have here. Let me see if I can tilt this down a little bit so you can see less of me and more of that. So you have the 2 altar candles that you have, and they are at the back. Of your altar. Remember this right here is the altar. And you have 2 white candles that you use. And by the way, anytime something requires a particular color candle, and you may say, dang it, I don't have that color. It's all good. White, you can always use white. And when you're anointing your candle, remember down and then up. It's not like together. You start here and you go down and go in one way, and then you go up in another way. But the altar candles are there. They're the tall candles. You have them in the back. They're always on your altar throughout your entire ritual. Place at the 2 far corners, which is what I did right here. Okay. And these 2 candles would be what you will light first. Okay. So in this particular case, it's showing us right here. And for this power one, we're going to go over that in a second. Because it says like you can have a figure here. Like you can have Jesus, you can have Mary, you can have a particular person. Maybe if this was around business, some business tycoon that you wanted here, it's totally up to you. Again, not mandatory, but this is a cookbook in terms of how you get things done, and you may feel a certain way on your own. So that's the altar. Now, story. This candle would be in various different colors. And I'm going to go through what the different colors mean too, because as you see here with mine, I have everything. They're not for birthday cakes. Totally different. Not for birthday cakes. But you have different colors, and each color is symbolic for a different intent based on what you're trying to do. Like here you see a purple one, which makes sense to me. Purple is normally the color of being regal and power. Okay, you have an orange one too as well. So purple and orange would be needed if we were going to do that. So for me, if I was going to do this power one, which I'm not, by the way, because you have some nice spells you can do, and what I consider to be not so nice spells. I don't like any spell that go against free will. Any spell that has to do with me and me doing stuff, or me healing, or helping to uplift people, I like that. But the other stuff, it's not my thing. But if this was my thing, I would take this and this, okay, and then I would put one here, and then put one here. Hold it up so you guys can see. There you go. Look at me. I'm like, a short black Vanna White. Ding. Okay. Now, so the offertory in the different spells that you see coming through, they will have the different colors in there and telling you what color to do. But if I didn't have a purple, then guess what? I would just reach into my bag of candles and I would just pull me out a white. And I'll go with white. And when I am dressing the candle, I would put the intention of the color that I would like to have. Just like with crystals, right? There's some crystals that you can use, especially a clear crystal, that if you do not have the particular crystal that you need in order for you to manifest in that way, you can put that intent in there when you're blessing that particular crystal. Sweet. So we got the altar, the offertory. Look at how smart you guys are already. You already know 2 different types of candle purposes, and now we're going to add a 3. Astral. So you see that right here too. What is that? Okay. The astral is, you are the astral. So that particular candle represents you, or if you're trying to do a healing on someone, it represents the person who you're trying to heal. And in this particular case, if you wanted to do a spell on power, it would be you want more power, or the negative bad way would be you want power over somebody, and then you would have that in there. But that's not the type of magic I suggest you try. I think you stick to just the positive kind. I'm just saying, because what you put out is going to come back to you. Now, so the astral represents you, all right? You or the person you want to have impact on. And for in that particular case, is based on the birth date of someone, the birthday. Now, if you do not know the birthday of someone, like say you're trying to heal, then again, you go to your trusty dun 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 dun. White is right when it comes to candle magic. There you go. So you can use that. But I'm going to show you the candles, birthdays that coincide in one of the upcoming slides, so you'll know which one's right for you. Well, and again, trust your intuition. This book, this is the alchemy of candle burning, but you can mix up your own stuff if something in particular calls out. But this is a good guide to get started. Now, the last one that I want to cover with you in terms of the 4 different types of purposes of candles is the day candle. So some of the spells, like I said in the cookbook that I have, by the way, cookbook is not the official magic term for it. I just call it that. But in the cookbook, candle, there are certain days that they may say, like full moon or a day of the week. If it calls for that, then you'll know it. And I'm going to show you a slide on that too as well. And this doesn't happen a lot. That's not like common thing, because you can do candle magic any time of the day, any day of the week. It really all depends on you. Me personally, I find that when it comes to manifestation, I like to do it super duper early in the morning. Like I meditate at 4 a.m. in the morning. It's quiet. I feel like my prayers get to God quicker. There's no queue. There's no line. It's really up to you. It doesn't matter what time of day that you do this, you can. But if it does require that you have a day candle, then you want to make sure that it's on the altar and it's on the right front. So if I was going to use one, here we go. The green one would be where I put it, in the right front. Okay. Now, the next thing. Oh, wait, before I go back, let me do a quick refresh. feel free if you want to snap a pic of the screen now, or keep in mind, we're on YouTube live. So you can always back and just look at this. But I want to overview the altar. Those are 2 white candles, okay, that are at the back all the time. And they just set the stage of the importance of the candle magic, the intent, your will that you want to do. You're going to light those first before you light the other candles. You have the offertory, which are various colors, like here on this particular one. Our offertory are the orange and the purple. And it really matches up to the intention that you have for what you're doing. You have the astral, which is you, or whoever is the main protagonist, right? I said protagonist, right? Not antagonist, because we only do positive stuff, positive magic only. But that's what the astral is, and it's based on the birth date, and then you have the day of the week, right? Now let's move forward. Okay, in the rituals, the spells that I'm going to show you, there are really 3 ways that you can do a spell. 3. The first way is using a Christian mindset. So there are words that you say, you're lighting the candles, and then there are words that you use in order to cast your spell, in order to do your ritual. And you have, like in the cookbook that I have, it says the Christian version, and then something that I'll call pre-Christian, meaning that it doesn't shape towards the Father, Son, Holy Ghost, or a Bible verse or anything like that. It's more free flowing. And frankly, I find that the pre-Christian spells are more powerful than the Christian one, because it's not really bound by any ideology. But you do what you like. And here I'm just doing a candle magic buffet, which means I am showing everything to everybody, and you find your own way. I'm going to show you the difference between the pre-Christian and Christian around power. And then for the rest of the session, the examples I'm going to show are going to be the Christian one. Cool. But the third way is individual, which means forget you cookbook. I'm going to say what I want to say, right? Abracadabra. Whatever words that you, any intentions that you have, you can recite that yourself. If anyone's a great wordsmith, or if you feel you clearly know what you want to do, you want to manifest, you're not a stumbler or a stutterer when it comes to speaking impromptu, go for it. Do your thing. So Christian, right? It's something that kind of ties into the Christian religion. And I would imagine it could be the Muslim religion too. It could be Sikh, it could be Jain, it could be Buddhist, but it's really a religious foundation. And that's probably a better way that I could say that, is religious. Then you have pre-Christian. Pre-Christian, meaning that these are spells that predate Christ being born. All right, predates Christianity coming. They're older. It's older magic. And then the third is individual. You're going to do what you want to do. You're going to say what you want to say. Now, memorization, that needed. You can literally take a cookbook and just read out. And in the beginning, was it ever thus? You can just read the words right out. It's not like you have to have it memorized. The one thing I would suggest for you is absolutely do not use your finger to put out the lit candles. Have you something. This is what I have, but it doesn't have to be as fancy as that. Okay. Have something that you use, right, in order to put the candle out. So if you have something like that, you can go like that. One, for safety. and 2, for the power of your spell. Like using your finger isn't cool. Also, what I would suggest is when you light, is that you use something else, right? Light it, and then use that to light your candle versus just going directly here, if you can. Right? Again, it is a nice to do. It's not mandatory. It's like, wait a minute, I only got one good candle. It's okay. All right. It's all good. All right. Now, the next thing, your outfit. So we talked about dressing the candle. How about dressing you? What kind of clothes do you have to have on? Robe is not needed. You do not have to have a long robe with a hoodie that you put on. No. Man, I mean, you feel that something, a certain atmosphere, you can. It's not like the candle fairy is going to hop out the closet and say, how dare you put on that robe? You do whatever you want to. It's all about your mentality around it. I don't dress up in anything particular other than what I'm wearing today. And even back in the day, the people who were in the candle match, I'm talking about way back in the day, they were naked. That's straight up old school. And for them, they felt like it was freedom. So they do it that way. So what you wear is unimportant. You can do whatever you want to. If you do pick something in particular, where just make sure that it's special and special to you. That's the main importance, right? With all types of magic, it really comes down to you. Now, altar figure. So what do I mean by that? What I mean is you may see some people that have altars in their homes, and they may not call it that. If you're in India, they're definitely going to call it an altar. But whatever space you have dedicated, you may have a picture of Jesus. You may have a picture of the Virgin Mary. You may have, I don't know, it's about money. Maybe you have some picture of Bill Gates. I don't know how many Bill Gates pictures are on altars, but I bet you there's probably more around candles than anything else. But an altar figure isn't that mandatory unless something calls for that. Okay. But it could be a crucifix, an ankh, could be an old school Venus if you're doing one around love, which I do not suggest, but people do that. And when that happens, you want that on the back of the altar. I think actually one of the ones that we had up here earlier called for it. Yeah. So this for the power, this one right here, as you see, is in the back of the altar. Right. So anytime there's a figure. So we're doing one with this one behind that purple where we had, that's where that figure would have been. Okay. It's just all about positioning. And then you just want to make sure you have a good holder for whatever figurine that you're going to use too. All right. Time. Specific weekday based on ritual. Time of day not mandatory. You just want to make sure that there's no interruptions. Okay, so I just saw a question like, if you don't have anything to extinguish it out, can you just blow it? I would suggest you don't blow it. Maybe you can just have a cup, right, that you can put over it in order to put it out that way versus blowing it out. Just think of it as the opposite of a birthday cake. So birthday cake, you're like, make a wish, go. But you know how crazy people would, like my next birthday, which is next month, by the way. So my next birthday, if they light the candles and I'm like, make a wish. And then I go. They're like, he must be real old because he's starting to get crazy. But yeah, if at all possible, don't blow it out. You're blowing away your manifestation. Have something that you can use to extinguish it out, even if it's a cup that you can place over it so there's no oxygen. No oxygen, it won't burn. Okay, thanks for asking that too, by the way. Okay, so now what I want to do is I want to show you the colors and what they mean. So here we go. All right. So based on your birthday, find your birthday, and if you could, let's get a little crowd participation. So I ain't the only one working up in here. So in the chat, tell us the primary color for your birthday. So find yours over here, right? Like what sign are you? Based on the sign, it tells you the primary color. The secondary color is, let's say, I ain't got this. Okay, then you can use this, right? Or some spells actually require or deal with two sides of you, and you have to go through both. I'm gonna do mine because I am I'm a Scorpio. So mine, I'm a little salty about that. Mine is brown. I'm like, man, all these colors up in here, and I got brown. It's like I didn't like the black jelly bean. My daddy, though, he always loved the black jelly bean. It's like, how can somebody like the black jelly bean? Who eats that? Who eats that? But anyway, mine is brown. So when you saw the power one that I did, and it called for an astral, whatever your color is, that's the one that you use. And what do you do if you don't have your primary color or secondary? White is right. You can use white. Okay. Now, the day week. So if it calls for a particular day that it has to happen, like maybe you want to manifest, I rent money by Thursday. Then when you do your candle thing, okay, and you're putting that together, you want to make sure that you have a blue. And sometimes it can require light blue or darker blue. Okay. So if there's a time around it, or time to initiate it, or time to manifest and have it come, you can add that to it as well. Okay, cool. Now, what I want to do is I want to go over some spells for you. Before I do, let me stop sharing for a second so I can make sure I'm very clear about this. I strongly suggest that any magic that you participate in, you do it from a place of love, okay? That you only seek to push positivity out in the world. But at the same time, be aware that everyone is going to be as benevolent as us. So you can't ignore that stuff is out there. So I also think that's important for you to know enough that if you need some protection or shield, you can kind of see what some people are doing on the darker side. All right. But I highly suggest that you only use this around positivity and making the world a better place. And anything that has to do with you, as opposed to being outside of you, is always going to be stronger and easier to do. And especially nothing that impacts anyone's free will. So I'm going to show you the topics that are available in the cookbook that I have. Some of them, like I turned to the second page, there be more, but just to give you an idea, because you may be wondering, great, now we get the foundation, we know how to set up the room, we know how to set up the altar, we know the 4 different types of candles, we know about the time of the day, we even know what our color is, although I get to do brown, I'm still salty about that. We even know what our color is when it comes to us when we're in this thing. Now, what can we manifest? All right, you can manifest anything you want to, anything. The same way we use crystals in order to manifest, the same way we use sigils in order to manifest. Now we're talking about candles to manifest. These are some things that people can use for. Now, some of it is a little weird to me because there's a Christian ritual for it. But the reason they're doing it does not seem too Christian to me. Like, so like if there's an affair, maybe you want to break up a love affair. That's somebody that you have cheating on you, and you want that to end. Again, my disclaimer is, you got somebody cheating on you, get rid of them. That maybe it's just me, but I would suggest you get rid of them instead of casting a spell on them. But I'm just showing you the different things that you'll see out there. And I think with anything, you really have to look at your heart and weed out the bad, find the good. Like in my book, I went through and I started to highlight the stuff. Oops, I found it and then I just lost it right there. In my book, I started to highlight the stuff that was positive only, right? But that's just me. So I'm not trying to arouse no jealousy, but using it to meditate, yo, I'm down with that. Dude. Help somebody to heal an unhappy marriage or to win or hold happiness, okay? That's more positive than some of this other stuff, right? Or to conquer fear. If you have fear over something, it's more positive. So just to give you an idea of certain things and what you can do, all right? And this amulet, what that means is, okay, I'll show you. So you have certain things that may have sigils on it. Like this is for archangels. I don't know if you can, I'm trying to get it. If you get it too close, it gets blurry. But this is kind of like an amulet, or you have a medallion or something that you can put on to utilize. More like closer to a figurine too as well. Or to gain or retain good health, all positive things. So with that, I figure I start off with the not so positive, and then we'll end on a positive note. Out of those, this one isn't one that I would suggest you do, okay? But I'm showing it to you anyway, and I'm using this as an example so that you're able to see the difference between the Christian, which I now wish I typed religious, and the non-religious. And even for this one, you could have the individual, meaning that I'm going to make up my own words, my own incantation, my own spell in order to use this. I'm not going to use the cookbook. But when it comes to the things you're going to see that come on the screen in the middle, these are the things that do not change, whether you choose to do the Christian or the pre-Christian version of it. Pre-Christian, again, means just before Christianity. So you have the more religious, is tied to a religious base or whatever it is. It's more tied into God, okay? And then you have the non-religious. I think that's better. Can we do a do-over? Those words would have been better, I think, for understanding. Anyway, this is the way you would set the altar up for power. And this particular spell would mean that you want more power, specifically over someone else. You see what I mean? This is why this one isn't that positive. But this is how you would set up the table. And in terms of all of these spells that go with a different candle are the same until you get to a certain part. And that certain part is normally going to be tied to either the Christian or the pre-Christian. So for this one, to gain power over others, you light altar candles 1 and 2, and you know what the altar candles are now, right? They're the white ones, okay? You make sure you have the incense lit, check, all right? And then you light the petitioner's candle. In this particular case, whatever the birthday is of the petitioner, you know what? We can reverse this to gain power over ourselves. I like that spin a lot better. To gain power over ourselves, because we all have stuff that we're like, damn it, why I always do that? I didn't want to eat that chocolate cake today. So in this particular case, to gain power over yourself, you would use whatever your petitioner candle was, right? Your astral candle that you had. Okay. And then, like the astral candle, the person over whom petitioner wishes to gain power. So you would have two candles if we're going to do it over ourselves. One, which is us casting it, and we're casting it on ourselves. Okay, I like that spin. And then after that, you like the purple candle. So remember, the altar candles always get lit first. Then the rest happens based on what your cookbook spell is telling you, right? Because the purple is further back here. And then like the orange. And then when you extinguish the candles, don't blow them out, but extinguish them. You repeat that every night for 6 nights. Each time, move the astral candle 1 inch to the left. So there are certain spells that happens when you're trying to bring things closer together and when you're trying to bring things further apart. An example would be healing. Maybe you have a sickness or a disease and you start off here, but each day you're moving it further away for it to manifest that disease getting further away from you. Okay. And then to show you the difference, right here where it says Densei, you will recite Psalms 130. I didn't list that out there. Okay. So that's on the Christian side. Or if you're a Muslim, from the Quran, you may have something, right? Or if you're Buddhist, from the Four Noble Truths, you may have something. But Densei for the area that predates, it's more in there. I definitely wasn't going to show that, because I definitely didn't want to encourage or teach someone how to have power over somebody else. But I think it's cool if you have power over yourself. And as you see, it's worded a lot differently than Psalms 130. He or she has the strength to overcome all. Sit for a few moments and think of the person actually running hither and thither at the whim of the petitioner. That doesn't seem too kind to me. So, unless you're talking about yourself. So that's one example, the power. Now let's get to more positive ways that you can do this. Meditation. Oh, that just feels a whole much lighter, right? You know, you take the good, you take the bad. Okay, so with this, with the altar, you have altar 1 and altar 2. Again, you know what they are. And then you have something that your figure is sitting on. It could be Buddha, right? It could be Jesus. It could be Mary. It could be anything, right? You have a light blue one. And light blue too. You set that on the opposite side. There you go. And then you have one for the petitioner, the meditator, the one who's doing it. I don't have doo-doo brown. So for me, I'm using the white to replace that. Okay. And then you have a day candle, right? Depending on the day of the week that you're planning on meditating, right? Maybe if we're doing a big group meditation, or definitely we're going to do a Sunday. Let me go back here really quick. Show you that. There we go. Sunday will be yellow. Yellow will be the one that we use. Okay. You understand it? You got it. And then when it comes to this, you would use, just go through these instructions and then write these words over here. And I put in the Christian one. Candle Burning Ritual Song by Raymond Buckland. I have a bunch of them. Raymond Buckland is actually from Virginia. So I used him today since we have a mostly, DMV on here today. But you just go through and you recite these, and this is going towards the Christian method of going through and doing that. That's for meditation. And then, so that's that one. And then the next one that I liked, that most of us will like, is money. So if you're going to do money, again, you have altar 1, altar 2. Up. Those are the white candles. You have a figure, and it could actually be money. You could take money and put it on there too as well. Whatever drives you. You can be as creative as you want to. And grain, for all the likely reasons you would think there would be tied to money. For this one, you would need 5 green candles that you use. Okay. And again, if you don't have green, you can have white too as well. And then you have gold, and then you have red, and it tells you how to position it. And then also, these arrows lets me know that as you do this multiple days, you're moving the candle. Let's see. Okay, there we go. You're moving the candle that way a little bit every day. Each day you're moving it. Because remember, this is supposed to be the petitioner, you, right? So you're bringing the money to you. Or if you were manifesting and bring the money to somebody else, that too. But that's how it works. You have the colors, and the colors relate to the intent behind your spell. And sometimes you have movements, like you're trying to bring it to you. Okay. And that's the reason why, if you're going to do something like this, as opposed to something that's complete as soon as you're over, you want to make sure you pick an area that's going to be undisturbed, where your dog isn't going to come in and kick it over, or your partner, or your cleaning staff, or anybody else. Okay. Now, as a recap to what we went over, we went through the 9 different things, right? From the individual cookbook to how do you manifest, to the Christian way, the pre-Christian or religious way, pre-religious. We went over the rum, the altar, the incense. How do you prep and dress a candle? The 4 different types of candles in terms of the intent, and even getting down to the rituals and the time and figures and the different colors that match up for the offertory, right? And then taking a look at 3 spells. Not so positive unless you focus on power over yourself, and then meditation and money. But as you see, and this is just half the list, on the other side of the paper, in this particular book, there's a lot. Okay. So I think that we will stop there, and I will say goodbye to the YouTube